Psychology is all around us. Psychological elements can be seen throughout the lifespan, from birth until death. Films are a wonderful tool to explain psychological theory and occurrences in our lives. Characters interact within each frame of film psychological concepts. The films we remember most and view multiple times engage us by capturing the presence of these psychological dynamics in an authentic way. I invite you to join me, Dr. Katherine Marshall Woods, licensed clinical psychologist and film consultant, and my guest today to discuss the best psychology in film. Hi, welcome today to Best Psychology in Film. Today we have the luxury of being able to speak to Cengiz regarding his beautiful film, Aisha, which we'll talk about in great detail. Welcome to our show.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you and to having me today.
Of course. Now, where do we find you today?
So I'm in Germany, in Stuttgart. So I live here, and I'm originally Kurdish from Kurdistan, Turkey, but I live here over 13 years now.
I see. Well, thank you for coming. I know our time change and difference has been quite with the scheduling, but I'm happy that we were able to make and find the time. Your film is just lovely, and it has been shown at many different film festivals. Can you tell us a little bit about Aisha?
So Aisha, it's a short film, and it's about two girls in a backyard in Rojava. And it's also about a test. So there is a test, and so Aisha have to make these tests, but she is a little bit rebellious, and so that's why it comes to a conflict between the veiled woman and Aisha, who is also veiled at the backyard of this house, and her sister.
Well, before we finish and keep going, why don't we take a little clip of Aisha and we'll be right back.
انت بالأول قولي سورة الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
ما شاء الله. الله يحميك يا طفلي، بتهبط هيك لا تنساه. تمام؟ هلا انتي عايشة.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم
مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد. شو بكي؟ هاد من أساس تعاليم الإسلام.
So we get to see that Aisha is in this backyard, and we do get to see a little bit about her rebellious self in this space. We also get to see a little bit about how she navigates in this world that seems really full of conflict. One of the things that I noticed about this short film is that it is set in one space, a backyard. And there's so many activities and so many things that are happening in this backyard that makes for a very full, complete picture. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about your desire to film in one setting to be able to create such a full story.
Yeah, it's a good question. And so I like that to when I have the opportunity um, to choose a set or to choose a motive. So then when I have the opportunity to have one motive, I think that's a great advance because so I can focus on the story, and I have the room, and I have one location, and I think the thing is to figure out, so how can I use in the best I can these location and this motive for my story, and what can I do that to bring more suspense in the story in this motive, and how have the figures to move and so on, and to bring these suspense in the story. So, and I think that's not easy, but I think so. I like this to be in a room and to say, okay, what happens where, so and how, and I like that. So that was so the reason to do it in this location. So.
Well, I have to say the way you described it was intensity. And I would agree with you that this film has a great deal of intensity, a great deal of suspense, even as to what's going to happen. There feels like in this film a lot to be revealed, shall we say. And this space definitely does kind of create this crucible, this kind of heartbeat of saying it's all here, and what will happen, in part because of the way you describe the main character, Aisha. Tell us a little bit more about her. She is fascinating to me, this character. She's extraordinarily complex, yes, rebellious, but a lot more than just rebellious. Can you tell us a little bit about how you created her?
So I think at the beginning of the story, we feel this intention, we have this backyard. That's the only motive, but we have also something what comes from the outside in this motive, and I think that's war, and that is something what comes from outside. How to say that's the macrocosm of the story, from the outside, and then how effects on the microcosm and in the world of Aisha, and also there is the veiled woman who had effects on her, and there is a sister which affects on her, and so there are a lot of, I think, things, power who affects on her, and we feel that she has a big problem with that. And so that's why she explodes at the end of this story, or in the middle of this story. There's a change, there is a break, and the figure changes their intensity, and she's not quite as before, and then she's more, and then more extrovert, to the outside, and that makes this fight between her and this wild woman, and it comes to a fight, and so I think what Aisha is also a little girl who has problems with her identity, because she feel not conformed with this identity, and she also don't feel conformed with that what happens outside of her, not only inside in this location and in this house, also outside, I think. And then I think there is also something what makes her sad, and this sadness changes to this, changes her. So like that.
Mhm. Yes, this is, I'm going to know a number of different things at the same time because of all of what you mentioned here. Aisha, that is figuring out herself and understanding her gender and understanding how she wants to be able to identify. That's one. And then her actually living in an environment where that may or may not be welcomed or accepted. Then there is war that is going on as well. And then all of the expectations upon her of being a female and some of the things that she wants to do that are not stereotypically, let's say, female oriented, maybe potentially for her, all seem, like you mentioned, to be kind of weighing on her. She has such a strength in her, though, albeit she's weighed down. There is something about her rebellion, shall I say, or that feels like a fire in her that wants to still come out when you say an explosion at the end. Where does that come from? I'd like you to explore with me is where do you feel like that came from Aisha? Because many people would suppress all of this, like suppress gender, suppress her desire to fight in the war and to take up things that a female potentially would not do. But for her, she wants to continue to move forward and be true to herself. Where do you think that came from for Aisha?
It's a good question. I think Aisha, the biggest thing, the problem is, so there is also the feeling that she feels that she could fail also, there is because also be suppressed from outside to this identity, and also the feeling that you are lost, or that you could do nothing. So and these, I think also these dark, she has a problem also with her clothes and so on. And what is that in English? Try to figure out in my head. Yeah, so I think she will not fail, and the thing is that she can also not be herself, and that is a big problem. So, and I think that's the reason why she cannot act as she wants, because there is also there's the danger that can spell her from her family, and I think that's also because she thought that the family is working, or the mother is working out against her, and also the feeling to of lose, that she is maybe a loser or something like that, or she has and I think she has also these some like depression or something like that. So also these psychological problems, what she underpressed or like that. So I don't know how can I say that now. It's difficult to say it in English now. It's sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. It's fine. I think that you're getting at the place of saying all of these stressors are weighing on her. She has so many stressors. Again, she's trying to figure out her gender. She's very clear about what her gender is, but also knows that she's being asked to, at times, bail and not expose herself in specific ways. She also has a desire to, again, be able to fight and protect herself and the people around her. And she's also being asked to suppress that fight. She's actually just being asked to comply. If you comply, then we have a chance of being okay, which is costing her expression of herself. Do you feel at the close of the film that her mom and her sister better understand her and is willing to accept who she is?
So you mean the question was if mother and the sister understand Aisha, how she is? So, okay. I think not really. So there is a burden what Aisha have from her mother and from her sister. So, and this burden is to change her. So that's something, maybe it helps, to get out from this place or whatever they want to do with that, or it helps for something, this religious test helps them for something, but that is something what Aisha don't realize. And because I think Aisha need this time to realize that, and I think also that's why also Aisha needs this big conflict with them to realize that, and also the mother need this conflict, I think, and the sister needed this conflict also to understand, Aisha, and Aisha understand the family. And that's I think that's the point of the story also. It's at the end of the day, it's a story about the family, and it's so that counts in this story, I think.
So one of the things that I was thinking about when you were talking, and also when I was watching the film, is the fact that Aisha does go through this conflict and how, like you mentioned, it is a necessary one to have. It almost feels like that this story of this family is also taking place under the umbrella of grief. It is mentioned in the film that they've experienced a loss, a death of someone. And there seems to be a fear that if Aisha does not comply, that she can end up in the same fate of dying. And it seems like there's such a burden to comply in order just to be able to remain alive or to be safe, which I imagine would create a huge choice for someone to make. Either I can be self-expressive and that puts me at danger, or I can suppress myself, which would then make me depressed, but I am still alive and safe. So it seems like at the close of the film, there's still that choice to be made in some ways. It's made at the moment, but we don't know if Aisha will continue to make the choices that she made at the end. Will this be a feature film at some point for us to learn more about her?
Maybe, yeah. So I had a lot of time this question about that. I think that this question is an open question because nobody knows what happens after that and or with her. And yeah, it's also a burden, and I think it's a difficult way for Aisha, and also to as you said, to depress these her own identity and also to have this burden. I think that makes also in the long term, in the long run, also that can make her ill, or because you never know what happens with these child later, because you have to, for a child it's too big, I think, to have this burden. I think maybe 20 years later, 13 years later, she will realize what happens and then why she is so as she is. And I think that's also have something to do with trauma, what people have later and so on. But I don't know what happens with Aisha. So I hope the best for her. So, and yeah.
When I watched this film, again, it's again such a short film in time, but it is quite compelling. And I usually say that films stay with us. This is one of the powers of filmmakers, is you provide us with a story or a narrative and it sticks with us. And this is a film that truly does that, at least from my perspective, is that Aisha is a character that I think about, like what will happen to her? What sort of life will she live? I hadn't thought about what she would be like 20 years from now. It almost leaves a grieving audience member. When I watched the film, there was a sadness that came over me, a mourning that came over me, as if someone had died in the film. Now, granted, we learned that her dad is not living, but no one in the film dies, spoiler for some people. But there is something about this story that makes or provides that feeling that there is a death that is happening. I'm wondering if that is a feeling that you wanted audience members to walk away from, is that given this sort of experience that she has, that's maybe what is being asked of her, is to place a part of her to die.
Yeah, I've definitely, it was a goal to show that there is something would die there, so this place, and also to feel what happens after that. So you don't know if that is so really her or so, and the words of this religion, these religious text and so on, there are these words in these passages has also a meaning in this film. So, but not only the meaning of the words, the translation, not the translation. It's that how he say that, she say that to her mother. So, and I think that is also something what has at the end to do also with the identity. So, and to protect the identity or her own identity, and then is the wish of, or the mother who try to make something with this identity, or to there's a learning progress, I think, for Aisha also, because she learned also a lot, and we saw also the sister. So the sister is another person. She knows that already, but he has to learn. And then maybe the sister has the same burden, but Aisha was smaller than her bigger sister, and so on. And so from time to time, I think so. And at the end, I think we needed this struggle and also this fight between them to understand that Aisha understands, and also that the mother understands, and the sister understands. So what is our journey? So how can we protect us? Blah blah. So that's I think the thing. Yeah.
One of the things that this film really just, I think, emphasizes is what it takes to have safety in this world for some people. And it's not always an easy thing to have, safety, and what some people really are struggling with. And to be able to hide or sometimes reveal in order to be safe, what that actually entails. Do I comply? If I don't, what will that mean? And what does it mean to have, again, all of these burdens upon me? And for a young child, that is extraordinarily challenging. And when parents and families are grieving, it makes it even more challenging. Aisha, I thought, was such a strong character. Again, a character that stays with me, in part because with grief, with compliance, with war, with all of these other things that are happening that are outside of her and things that are happening inside of her, it's just such a huge ask of a child. Thank you so much for creating her.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.